Hey everybody, in this episode of the Veep After Show, we're breaking down Season 6, Episode 2, Library. We'll find out the dangers of having Siri read your voicemail out loud. Next.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Look at this. The Veep panel reunited in full effect.
We all
yes.
here. We all here.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Veep After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We're breaking down every episode of Season 6, airing on HBO Sunday nights. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie.
Hey everybody, so happy to be back.
Yay,
Sorry I missed last week.
back.
It was really sad. But that episode was hilarious, by the way. Y'all can find me everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, all that great stuff at April Whisenhant.
You were sorely missed, but
Yes.
we're happy to be
missed
back.
y'all.
The three of us together. Hey guys, Nadine Della Pelle here. You can find me everywhere at Nadine DP3.
And of course, folks, you can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you feel free to hop in the chat, share your thoughts about the series in general or this episode in particular. But let's just jump right into it. Selena wants a library, guys.
Yeah, not surprised.
Well,
She always wants something, right?
That's true. I mean, she was, even though she was less than a 1-year president, still you were president. So
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just not the most respected president. But this whole episode I thought was hilarious. I was cracking up the entire time.
Me too.
Actually like laughing like till my belly hurt for a
Yeah.
second. So far, favorite episode. I know there's only 2 so far to go
Two
off of this
whole
season,
episodes.
but I'm
Yes.
just gonna say this is my favorite episode. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
that's a bold statement you're making.
Yeah, I know. It was a tough one. The quarter, you know.
It was my favorite part of the whole episode was Split, just with his like random like things that he would say. Richard Split. He'd
Oh,
be like,
yeah.
Oh, I gotta go get a Split shirt. Oh,
Yeah.
that's all we call it in my family. And just like the random, just weird stuff that he says. I always love.
It was a heavily Richard episode.
Yeah.
For sure, with
I
his
like it.
jokes.
Anytime Andrew starts talking about doing something kind of shady, financially and stuff, I just like him saying, "That's illegal. That's
That's a felony.
That's a felony.
And that's also a felony.
Yeah, can we talk about Andrew too? In what world was that ever gonna last more than it did right now? I'm so happy that they decided to like completely cut him out. Like, cause you can't have that last for 6 episodes, the two of them
Right.
together. Like, let's be real.
I was like watching last week. I was like, oh, okay, so maybe they're actually gonna like go there this season. I mean, they've obviously gone there before, but like really go there with them dating for a significant amount of time because. Like, how are they going to switch up the story a little bit? But then, I mean, obviously, that was very short-lived. When he's, like, running out the door, like, oh, I gotta go, with no explanation. I mean, clearly he was doing something.
Yeah.
But,
Well, as Selena says, explain why he's still around, is that unlike the American public, he F's her in a way that she really likes.
right. And Gary just dies in the background, like,
Gary's like every child when you hear your parents like talking about sex and stuff. Gary
know.
just cannot handle that. Like, does not want to do
he
that.
just hates them.
Yeah.
For good reason, though.
Good for
Would you want to
him.
ever hear your parents talking about playing babysitter?
Yeah,
Whoa.
no.
I would die.
Yeah, that's
I
what
would
I'm
die.
saying. That's why he thinks of them as his parents, like, or her at least.
Yeah.
Like, oh god.
He also just, like, loves her. That's why he went so ballistic on Andrew
so
whenever
cute.
the text started being read out loud, which is actually not gonna lie a fear of mine. Not that I have like texts that are so, like something like that, of course, but it's
Sure,
or like
April.
sending text to the wrong person, where you're like, oh, you screenshot someone like a weird thing that someone says to you, you send it to a friend, but then you actually accidentally send it to
I
the
did
person.
that once.
Yeah, it's pretty
No.
horrifying. I've done it a couple of times.
horrible.
Yeah.
Was
Like talking crap about her, being like, I can't believe I sent
Right
it to
to
her.
Yeah.
What's the next text like from her? Any?
Okay,
That she was-
sure.
There's no like explanation for it. You just have to like.
It was just like, all right,
Okay.
sure. Yeah, it was bad. This is years ago, and my heart is still racing thinking
Yeah.
about it. I'm like, oh god.
I literally
No.
get like sweats from the times that I've done it before.
Oh god, yeah.
Do you guys cop to it, or do you try to come? Like, I don't know how that
I
happened.
think one time I tried to like make something up like, wow, my phone's been like crazy. I don't know how it just screenshotted that. And they're like, okay.
It's like
And
any
that
of the
was it.
celebrities that complain, like, oh, somebody hijacked my Twitter,
Right.
and they sent out all these weird tweets. Yeah, it wasn't me.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh, I'm talking about like another Bethany, not you, like another Bethany. Of like, was not referring to you.
Yeah.
So I'm in a fight with another Bethany at the exact same time. Yeah, you know.
Whoopsies.
Get something that gets his Bethany's. We also, of course, have Jonah. Man, how do you like? We haven't heard from you
Oh
about
my gosh.
Jonah's new look.
So
You love it?
Yeah.
this is the first thing I asked her tonight when we got here. Jonah's haircut. Well, okay, so he had cancer. Well, I didn't mean to roll my eyes when I said that.
We get it. We all watch
Yes.
the show. We understand what you meant in that. Yeah.
I mean, it's just the worst, obviously. And like his eyebrows, but at least tonight we got like a little shading. Like it looks like he's gonna bring it back. But
Oh, yeah. He has to because Dan called him out.
I can't believe that Kent is working for Jonah. I just feel so bad for my poor little Kent.
I know, like both him and Ben, and you'd think that, I mean, they were working for, even though she was, I mean, for the VP and for at least, almost a year, the president. And you got to work for Jonah.
But like, why do they all have such terrible jobs now? That's what I don't understand.
Well, I think it goes to show how not well liked Selena was.
Yeah.
And they were the basis of that. They're the foundation of that. And I think that also goes to show, like, a president's only 8 years max, right? So what happens after that? That's kind of like, what happened to all those people? Like, what happened to all the people that were working for Obama? Like,
Right. Well, like,
where are they now? They're never going to be as high up as they were.
Well, like George Bush is painting now, like really well.
True.
Obama is like taking vacations.
But what are like
What
their
are the
chief of
people?
staff and
Yeah, I don't
like,
know.
I guess you
their
do, like,
communications guy?
You write
think
a book, you
I
do
think they become like
speaking
professors.
engagements.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But you think any of those guys could become professors? Like
No.
Ben or like
No.
Lester Kent?
Well, no, we saw him at Uber. That did not go.
Didn't work well.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Or sometimes they do still like work in the government. There was an Auburn grad that was the press secretary a little bit for Obama, but then he also like worked for Bush way back when. So you never know.
you just hop on.
I have
with
no
a
idea what he's doing
different
now, but
Yeah, but I think this is all leading to somewhere. Like I was saying last week, like the whole Armageddon opening scene where like everyone's doing their own thing and then they're all brought together.
Yeah.
When like you have to rally again whenever she decides to run, which she is gonna do it again. Like,
but she didn't go to
100%.
the dinner.
So
Yeah, she didn't go.
yeah, she was convinced. But I think all this now is gonna push her to do it again.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's going to
man.
be something because Andrew was blocking her. I don't know. But yeah, they're all going to come back. Amy is going to like say no to, she's not going to be married to this guy anymore after all
No,
that.
for sure.
He's going to lose. Like she is bound to come back home to the family. Like
Yeah.
she is.
True, because so
Let's be
far,
real.
pretty much everybody else, she's the one that's kind of like the furthest out. We don't
Yeah.
see much of her every episode.
Right.
And Selena made it clear, like she hung up on her. Like she's so disconnected.
She's
you
like,
would
wow,
never
that's the
hang up.
lowest.
Yeah,
Like
like, all right, things need to change now.
Yeah.
The one character that I always like is Minority Leader Furlong, who just
Yeah.
sits there with the insults constantly, especially towards Jonah.
Yeah. He
Poor
hates Jonah.
him and Will. Will always gets the just so brutal.
I wonder what that actor thinks every week when he gets his new script. And he is like,
The lines
all
that he
right,
has to say.
yeah, let's memorize these this week.
Right.
And it's just the worst.
I don't even know, but he says them so like eloquently. Like I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was
Yeah.
something like, "What do you think when you're like anal face, whatever?" I'm like, "How do you what?"
Oh yeah, I wrote like your face anus.
Yeah, something like that. I was
Professor
like,
Gay
all right.
Xavier.
Yeah.
So bad that it's so good.
I know.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's what I love is that he's been for 6 seasons now, that running character that has never changed.
And he just like randomly shows up when you
Yeah.
think like, why would he show up in this episode? And then it's like, oh, there's Congressman Furlong.
Yeah, they're in
or
a
whatever
random
his title is
hallway.
now.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or what as Will described it, it's like my presence is odious to all parts of the sexual spectrum.
Yeah.
I'm like, golly.
Yeah, just another one.
I know. I like that they're like finding Mrs. Ryan for Jonah though, but not his mom.
No, I mean,
Luckily.
the third date. I was actually surprised that the third date was kind of going okay. I thought for sure we're gonna see all 4, and he's gonna blow all of them.
Well, because I mean, clearly he's awful.
Well, yes.
In the worst way.
But I also felt so bad for him too during all of that. Did you guys not like as much as like Jonah has issues. We all get
Yeah.
that, but it's like you learn to love that he has those issues too in a sense where yeah, I hate you most days, but then
Right.
like kind of 10% of me is like, oh, I wish it really works out, and I got really sad that Dan ruined that. Like I was really upset.
On the third one for sure, but like the other ones when he's like, "Do you have a recent photo of your mom? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna need to see it from the front and from the rear." Like, okay, I do feel bad for him because I'm like, oh, I feel like someone would make him like a more stable person, but I mean that's probably not gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah.
Do you feel bad enough for him though that either one of you would
No.
date a Jonah?
No.
I didn't say I'm gonna date him out of pity. I'm gonna saying that I hope he finds someone of his caliber to date. You
Right.
know?
But you could change him. You
Just
could make him a
not
better
either of us.
man.
Why don't you, Frank? Maybe you could make him a better
Maybe I
man.
could.
Maybe.
Like, good,
Let's just
I'll
throw
take
it
a
all
look at
out
All
there.
right, I'm down. Let's see
All
what happens.
options.
Considering all those date ones, if you were either one of those, either one of the first 2 dates, would you have stayed as long? 'Cause not that those either women stayed very long, but
Yeah.
would you even have stayed that long?
I've been on really bad dates I've never left before. Because that's just like the ultimate like stab, I feel like, for someone to just like peace out. At least like the second girl was up front when she's like, okay, I'm just gonna go. Or like it was clear what she was doing. But I've never ditched on a date. Have you?
I haven't ditched on a date. No, I wanted to. There was one specific one. I won't get into details.
Yeah.
Just
But
tell us his name and where it
instead, I
happened.
racked that bill up to like $350 or something. Ordered the best food, all the wine,
There you go.
and then I didn't offer to pay. Normally, like I offer, whatever. Like
Yeah.
this time, nope. He paid for all that, and then he's like, "Oh, you want to come to this party?" I was like, "No, bye," and left.
Yeah.
It was great. I felt so good after that.
I went on
It
a
was
date
really
with a
good
guy
friend.
where he
So messed up.
like we like met for a drink, but then I like had plans with a friend later, and he like knew that like was like, oh, I'm gonna have to meet up with this friend. Like I was like squeezing him in. But he knew the friend, and she came. He ended up being like, oh, well, let's just like have her meet us here. But we had like one drink. And I was like, wait for like over 2 hours. And I was like waiting, like, okay, are we going to get another one? Or like, are we done? And he's like, oh, we should just go to my house. I have so much, like, I have all this food. And I'm like, oh, no, honey. And then at the end of the night, whenever I like went to back to my house, of course, he said to my friend, because she took us both home, he was like, did I just waste my time? I was like, you bought me one whole drink and you think you just like wasted your
my
time and
time.
money? I'm like, wow.
How precious is his time?
I've never had someone be like that up front with like, dang, she didn't like hook up with me. Did I just waste my time?
You found
I
your
mean,
Jonah. That was your Jonah right there.
Yeah, he didn't say it to me. He said it to her, but yeah.
All right, so real
So-
quickly, just give me the first and last name of both these gentlemen.
Okay, here it is.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember. Jason, I think. I
We're
don't
all
know.
on a trip right now.
Right?
So Selena's fixated on the library, but she's
Yeah.
also getting her presidential portrait done as well. The one thing is, like, during that whole posing, like, her face, this is not, you feel like this is a painting, you want to at least put on some kind of, like, nice expression. Like,
Right.
No.
She
no,
does
no, no.
time
not.
for it.
Well, like most of the presidents, their portraits are like,
Stern,
like
yeah.
the strong stare. But she's different, obviously.
She looks so sour the whole time.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, now we know why, because the girl who was painting her was also screwing her ex-husband / whatever she would call him.
I did like Richard though say in the back, like I was standing still in case I was going to be painted
Oh,
in.
I know, right?
That was, I think, my favorite joke of the episode. He was just
Yeah.
standing, they thought he was going to be in that. I thought that by the end of this episode, they were going to show us what the uncompleted painting looked like.
Yeah.
I did
Yes.
too.
I was waiting for that, like them to just throw up like what actually was finished and like charged for her
I
or
know.
some sense.
I can't believe she actually hired her back even after, because she normally doesn't like give in to the pressure of people being like, oh, you should do this so you can do this. But she ended up hiring the lady back.
That shows
But
how
it-
desperate she is, though.
But I also was like, okay, I get the whole like sexism thing, but I'm like, she wasn't being sexist. She wasn't. She's supposed to like work with this lady that was screwing her husband, but that's not how it is. But it's like, it's weird how things can be portrayed that way, even when that's not the case. Obviously, that's the case in a lot of situations, but it wasn't in this one. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because it's
Just
one
like
thing
a
you
different
could
side of it.
You could repeat the text, but you don't actually have them. You just heard the text.
Right.
So
And
it's
she's going to
tough.
make herself look like a fool repeating those texts. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I get so hot thinking about her sitting on the chair or whatever.
In our
the
love
text
puddle.
said. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and
God.
also once this story is out, though, it's hard to like change it. And everyone like doesn't like Selena anyways, so
Yeah.
it's like already she's losing.
So they're
It
not
doesn't
gonna feel
matter.
bad for her.
No, none of it matters. Like she already lost as soon as the woman claimed herself a victim.
Yeah.
That was it.
True
I will
that.
give it up
So-
that because I was actually surprised when they just, because it was just a quick little bit they did at the beginning about him mentioning to Mike about, oh, how do I turn on the voicemail so it talks to you?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was just a one-off kind of thing, but
I didn't. I thought it was. I'm like, it was going to be
gonna
something.
be
and
deep.
it came back. It came
That was
back.
gonna be deep.
Because when you
Oh.
start reading your text messages out loud, that's not good.
And that's
Yeah.
what I love too. There's always like a purpose for everything in this show, even though it's so funny and stuff. You wouldn't, I don't know, you would think it's just kind of random.
Right.
But like in the beginning, when Gary shows him, not Gary, I think Mike shows him how to put Spotify on.
Oh, yeah.
And then we wait like a few like scenes, and then it comes back, and that's why. Like there was a,
Yeah.
you know, I love that. I
And
love
the
that
reason
about the
we
writing.
saw the reason we saw Furlong was because that led us to get into the conversation about Jonah not being invited to the dinner
Yeah.
because he's not in a couple, so they had to figure out the dates for him and everything.
Yeah.
And it, like Kent saying, like, you know, we only found 4 dates for you, and they
yeah.
broadened the search area for so wide, and that was it. Maybe
know?
one person in Delaware, but that's a maybe.
Gotta
Just-
do what you gotta do.
So Selena really wants this library, and she first, of course, wants it at Yale.
Yeah.
Because why not? And Yale says, nope, we're not interested. So they decided, why don't we go with my undergrad school, go to Smith. And so she meets back up there with the president of the Smith College, and they had a little dalliance back in the day.
Yeah.
Although Selena was like, I don't know what you're talking
On the
about.
lawn with
She doesn't-
Chardonnay.
Yeah,
but
she
doesn't
doesn't drink
remember.
Chardonnay. Okay? But at the end, when
I'm a whiskey girl, Scotch girl, whatever she said.
yeah, I always have been.
Right.
But when she brought that back up at the end, she was making that move. I thought it was
Yeah.
actually going to happen for a
I did
second.
too.
I was like,
I'm in a committed relationship.
yeah.
Well, I'm like, she'll do whatever she can. for
yeah,
that
literally,
library.
so
That's true.
desperate for that library.
Yeah.
I feel like
Poor girl.
Because I figured if that had happened, she would not have hired back Helen. But,
Oh heck no.
No, yeah.
yeah, I got to hire her back.
Heck no.
And, and then we find out, though, of course, we still have Dan's struggles. So Dan is now just doing his little polar bear story there where he
Polar
does,
plunge, whatever
yes.
it is. I don't know.
Dan's got, like, Dan deserves what he's getting right now, though. Like, as much as, like, I kind of, like, Jonah, I'm, like, 90% 10. Like, I just can't stand Jonah 90%. But 10
Yeah.
times, with Dan, it's kind of, like, 70-30 for me. So,
Yeah.
like, hate him 70% of the time.
Love him 30%.
Yep.
I'm probably right there with you.
Yeah, Gary's 100% love, always.
Yes,
and
always.
forever.
But it seems like Dan he does a good job at what he's doing. It's just like the situation that he's in just seems miserable.
I think it's karma. He deserves it.
Yeah.
True.
That's what I'm saying.
But working with Jane, who just even steals his line at the end of the show. And he's like,
See you in the tomorrow.
Uh-huh. Oh, he's gonna do something. Something's coming with that. He's
Yeah, for
he's
sure.
not gonna stand by that for any longer.
yeah, but I can imagine working in a situation where everybody knows that the head person is crazy, and yet nobody is willing to stand up and
Really?
say anything.
I feel like that's pretty common.
Yeah.
No?
Look at the news
I mean,
happening right
luckily
now.
I haven't been in that situation. Well, there you go.
I
I mean, look at this panel, right?
Yeah.
These two-
Hey, but you still come every week,
I
right?
know. I know. What am I thinking?
There we go.
So as we end the episode, we do find out that Smith passes, and even though that Selena's rehired Helen, it's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
You're
Right?
gone. You're gone.
She's like, get your colors and leave.
She may have thrown a little curse word in there too, but yes.
A couple.
Oh, and the one of the storyline too was
Yeah.
Christine and
Marjorie.
Marjorie, yes. They decide they're going to explore the idea of having a baby.
Yeah.
But they don't present it that way though. They say like we're
They're-
pregnant.
yeah.
Yes, they very much set it up. Like, yep, this is happening.
Like it's already a thing.
Yeah.
And then what's his face? I love when Mike tells the story. He's like, you heard about the man in Georgia who actually turned out to be a mentally ill, whatever he
Yes.
said. And then Selena's like, oh, can you imagine having a baby in Georgia?
And I do like
All
he's
of
wearing the shroud of urine shirt that he's wearing.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he takes off and he's just wearing his wife beater with still the stains on it.
Then he has his unzipped pants,
Yes.
untied shoes.
He's just a mess.
I can't take you seriously, Cape Fear. I can't.
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
God, every joke hit this episode. That's what I'm saying. It
So
was just
good.
on point for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, writers. Good job. Thank
As
you.
per usual. Right.
I
What was
like-
that? A snap dance?
I love
That was
that.
it. Gary for
like-
one second was excited though because when they said, "Oh, well, who get for sperm donor?" It's like, "Well, what about Gary's?"
Oh, and he's like,
Isn't using-
if it came to
When it
that.
comes to that,
It's
that'd
like,
be
"Oh,
so-
I could do it. I could be
Right?
part of
that
the
would kind of
family."
be perfect, though.
I feel like I kind of hope that happens. Actually.
yeah, like that's a yeah.
But could you imagine Selena? Like, she's already not thrilled about being like a grandmother at this age, but then imagine that part of it's Gary.
Right, yeah, she'd flip out.
That's what I think is gonna happen though. She's gonna be so mad, but Marjorie and the
Christine?
yes.
Or Marjorie Moore.
There you go. And Christine would be like, "Wait, that actually works," and then Selena's just gonna be so aggravated. I think
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
that's probably what's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a prediction to me, Nadine.
Oh, is
It
it time
does.
for that?
Yeah.
Predictions.
Your
There we go.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Yeah, prediction.
Do you-
Possible, like small prediction.
Do you
That
think
will
that
be
this
Gary's
pregnancy
baby.
storyline is going to continue throughout the whole season, or is this kind of just like the one blip we'll see of it, and maybe it gets brought up towards the end of the season?
I think it's gonna last all the way
Me
through
too.
because Selena's so aggravated by it that like we're just gonna constantly see her so upset and
Yeah.
tortured inside every time she hears it.
I think it's gonna last. I think it possibly could be Gary. I think he could like go donate to a sperm bank, and then they like see his profile that's like, oh, works for a government agency, like yada yada yada, and they could think he's like very impressive. I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened on the show.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you think?
I mean, yeah, as we were talking about before, they don't bring up anything in the show if they're not going to use it in some sense. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like this will probably be a little bit of a runner every episode where we see them like looking at potential donors and stuff and weighing the pros and cons and not finding somebody that's good enough for them.
Yeah. We'll see.
While Gary's just there with his attaché case full of a sperm sample,
Yeah.
ready to go.
Always.
Small baby Gary, maybe
That's
in our
right.
future, folks. We'll see.
Oh my goodness! Well, we'll have to find out. I guess next episode we'll find
Yeah.
out a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this Veep after show. My, how the time flies.
Oh,
It really
yeah.
does.
It does, folks. But if as always, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks everybody for hopping in the chat. And if you want to continue the conversation with us even after the show's over, Nadine, where can they find you?
Nadine DP, the number 3.
Y'all can find me everywhere at April Whisenhant.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Folks, we'll see you next week back here with another episode of the Veep After Show here on AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.